initially when somebody comes to watch your lesson, you're a little bit stressed, you're a little bit worried, and things tend to move at a faster pace. So you're less aware maybe of everything that the children are doing when you're being observed because you're in that pressurised situation. And that's what happens in performance management, I think, is that you're not seen at your best and you're not seen at your most comfortable because you feel like somebody's coming to judge you. After you've been through the coaching sessions a few times, you can automatically see that the person isn't there to judge you because they're going to be coming in. And actually, the effect that they have on your lesson is as much a reflection on them as it is on you, because a reflection on their performance as a coach, I suppose. Prior to the coaching session, I'll have had a meeting with the coach to discuss the content of my lesson. It means that I'm less nervous when it comes to the coaching session because we've already discussed what's going to be in the lesson. So I know that I'm not being judged on what I've chosen to put in. It also helps you break it down a lot more than you would have previously by discussing it and responding to someone's questions on that. Then when it comes to the lesson, the coach will begin by observing and then will interrupt when they feel that some action needs to be taken, and maybe pose a question: why are you doing it this way? Have you thought about doing it in a different way? Have you thought about using a visual stimulus? Have you thought about using something kinesthetic to get them to understand this point?
Coaching is a massively different experience to the formal observation, in that it's much more, oddly, much more intimate, where you have the traditional formal lesson observation. There's somebody sitting in the corner writing down notes about your lesson, and then you get feedback afterwards on whether it was good, bad, satisfactory, outstanding, or whatever, and some targets to act upon. And then it's really up to you to act upon those targets. Where coaching is different is that it gives you targets to work on within the lesson and requires that you try them in that moment.
It seems to me quite ironic that those of us involved in education seem to be employing systems that are quite ancient in terms of supporting future development and leadership development and adult learning. We wouldn't employ strategies for children that we felt were wholly didactic or even required some sort of action after the event. All the work that we've done for the last 10 or 15 years around assessment for learning has been about intervening at the point of learning for a child. And it seems to me that the same process is required for adult learning as well. And there's absolutely no reason why, in terms of developing teachers and colleagues' professionalism, their skills within the classroom to help support children's learning, we shouldn't be, as it were, intervening at the point of teaching. So that as a teacher is trying to hone their skills and improve their craft, then coaches are able to intervene whilst the teacher is in the midst of that, and then help to refine their understanding through the use of great questions, which will develop and deepen their thinking, so that whilst the lesson is ongoing, the teacher is then able to slightly, just so slightly, change course and get a different outcome for the particular children that, for whatever reason, have reached something of a block. And it seems to me that that's a much more positive way, a much more supportive way, and a much less threatening way of improving a teacher's skill set and therefore their performance within the classroom.
I feel much more comfortable with the coaching format, not only because somebody's coming in time and time again and you know that you've got time to improve and time to work on things, but also because from the outset you have started on an equal platform. You've started with an equal relationship where instead of them saying, I've got all the answers, here's my pocket of answers, would you like one of them? You're allowed one or two of them in this performance management and then no more answers for the rest of the year. You're saying, well, I don't have all the answers. Your practice is unique and you're an individual as a teacher, and me saying do it my way is not necessarily going to help you. So you're sitting down with them and you're saying, well, how do you want to do it? What would be your ultimate scenario in the classroom? How would you want to see yourself as a teacher? And everybody knows. I think most teachers, they know how they want to come across to the children. They know how they want their lessons to progress. And they know the difficulties that they have. So in some respects, just getting them to explore those options by asking them questions and getting them to delve within themselves and maybe ask themselves questions that they aren't comfortable with about their own practice, that produces much more individual, unique and productive results.
I think all of our schools would benefit from the opportunity to introduce coaching across the workforce and in many of the different strands and areas of our work. So it's not just about intervening in teachers' teaching, but it's also about every conversation that happens within the school. The notion that by refining the quality of questions that professionals use when talking with one another, they're able to deepen one another's thinking. So that could be within the classroom, but it could just as equally be next to the kettle as somebody's making a coffee at break time, or in a quick chat at the photocopier, or a 5-minute conversation at the end of the school day. All that's really required to move somebody's thinking along is one great question. And so the whole notion of coaching is to equip colleagues to ask those great questions of one another and of course of themselves as well. So the process of coaching improves the quality of the whole workforce, but also down at an individual level helps each person to be more reflective and have a greater comprehension and a greater intellectual engagement with what's at the core of their job, learning and how to improve it.